Vance's latest Iran blunder? A photo from the Swiss talks is now fueling a wave of speculation and intrigue. Did JD Vance reveal more than he intended during the tightly guarded negotiations held behind closed doors in Switzerland? The card that stole the spotlight, a photo of Vance alongside Qatari officials, is igniting fresh security concerns. What exactly was Vance carrying with him as he walked into the high-stakes negotiations with Iran? Vance's secret card moment has stunned observers, leaving many wondering what the camera may have captured. An image of U.S. Vice President JD Vance from the Switzerland talks with Iran has sparked a fresh wave of online buzz. On June 22, Qatar's Prime Minister posted a photograph showing Vance alongside U.S. Special Envoy Jared Kushner. The image was captured during ongoing negotiations between American officials and Iran's delegation in Switzerland. What caught attention was JD Vance's choice of laptop and the high-security access card attached to it. The card inserted into the side of the laptop appeared to display a photograph of a woman rather than the vice president. Does VP JD Vance not have his own login? One commenter asked while dissecting the viral photograph. That's not JD Vance in the photograph displayed on the security card inserted into the laptop, another social media user remarked. The access credential appeared to feature an official government identification photograph, believed to be issued by the White House. Reports suggest the attached card may be linked to a highly restricted access system used for secure authentication. Some observers allege the device functions as a smart card reader designed to prevent unauthorized access to government systems. Another detail that drew attention was the fact that JD Vance was not using an Apple MacBook. Instead, the vice president was seen carrying a high-security corporate laptop manufactured by HP. Meanwhile, Iran has started the countdown on its 60-day memorandum of understanding with the United States. Iran issued a fresh warning to the United States just days after signing a memorandum of understanding aimed at ending the war, a move that Tehran says is intended to clarify red lines and deter any attempts to exploit the agreement while diplomats work to translate words on paper into lasting commitments. Iran's acting defense minister declared that Tehran could confront its adversaries despite ongoing negotiations, emphasizing that diplomatic engagement does not diminish the country's willingness or capacity to use military means if it perceives its core interests to be threatened. The minister warned that Iran could respond on the battlefield to any U.S. breach during talks, stressing that violations of the memorandum would draw immediate and proportionate military reactions intended to impose costs and restore deterrence. Al-Riza said Iran would strengthen its military posture across all domains throughout the negotiations, signaling an intent to maintain robust defensive and offensive capabilities while talks proceed so as to preserve strategic leverage. Iran's armed forces were described by the defense minister as standing at their highest level of readiness, language intended to convey seriousness to both domestic audiences and foreign capitals that Tehran remains prepared for rapid military action if required. Ibn al-Riza also proclaimed that Iran's adversaries would ultimately be left defeated, disappointed, and regretful, a combative forecast meant to reassure supporters and warn opponents that any miscalculation would carry heavy strategic and political consequences. Amid U.S. Iran peace talks, a hardliner's remarks sparked widespread backlash inside Iran, according to reports dated June 22, with commentators and political figures debating whether the outburst will alter the fragile diplomatic momentum between Tehran and Washington. During a televised segment, the lawmaker publicly read purported excerpts from top-secret letters attributed to Iran's supreme leader, presenting the materials as authoritative and prompting immediate scrutiny and controversy among both supporters and critics. Mahmoud Nabavian said on air that Mojtaba had opposed talks with the United States before being abruptly cut off, a claim reported by Iran International that highlights fractures within Tehran's negotiating team and raises questions about who controls the country's foreign policy decisions. Mahmoud Nabavian serves as a member of Parliament's National Security and Foreign Policy Committee, a position that lends weight to his statements and suggests his allegations could influence both parliamentary debate and public perception. Nabavian further asserted that Mojtaba and Supreme Leader Khamenei had imposed conditions which were not reflected in the Memorandum of Understanding with the United States, an allegation that, if verified, would suggest critical elements of Iran's demands were sidelined during the negotiations. The Iranian lawmaker said, and I quote, "The Supreme Leader explicitly expresses his dissatisfaction. He says, 'Why did you not observe the conditions?' What has taken shape in the Pakistan negotiations is fundamentally different from what was supposed to happen and from what constituted the condition for the legitimacy of the negotiations. The Strait of Hormuz is a very important key. If the Americans want pressure taken off their throat, they must first implement preconditions, foremost among them the payment of compensation and debts." Unquote. The lawmaker also revealed that Mojtaba wanted the talks to concentrate squarely on ending the conflict and securing compensation for victims and affected communities, arguing the humanitarian and reparative measures should take precedence over other diplomatic issues and thus shape the negotiating agenda. Mojtaba reportedly instructed negotiators not to raise or negotiate over Tehran's nuclear program, a directive suggesting he sought to keep nuclear matters off the table entirely while the delegation pursued political and compensation-related objectives. Iran has also been approaching wartime highs in oil exports following Washington's decision to ease selected sanctions. Iranian oil exports surged to a new high just days after Tehran reached a breakthrough agreement with the United States. According to tanker trackers, Iran exported nearly 36 million barrels of crude oil within a span of only 6 days. Since June 15th, Tehran has reportedly accelerated shipments after Washington eased selected restrictions on Iranian oil exports. Another 36 million barrels of Iranian crude reportedly remain at sea, awaiting delivery to international buyers. The figures suggest Iran could rapidly ramp up exports if regional tensions continue to ease in the coming weeks. Iran's oil shipments had previously fallen to their lowest levels in 6 years amid the impact of America's Hormuz blockade. In a fresh diplomatic and economic victory for Tehran, Washington has temporarily eased sanctions on Iran's oil sector for 60 days. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced the limited sanctions relief measure on June 22. Under the arrangement, Iran can temporarily produce, transport and sell crude oil and petroleum products until August 21. Bessent stated that the decision was taken in light of ongoing negotiations between Washington and Tehran. In return, Iran has pledged to keep the Strait of Hormuz open and accessible for international shipping traffic. The U.S. Treasury Secretary said, and I quote, "In line with the ongoing productive talks in Switzerland, Iran has committed to free and open transit in the Strait of Hormuz, and to permit International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors into their country. As part of the framework, the Treasury has issued a temporary 60-day general license authorizing the production, delivery, and sale of Iranian oil." End quote. Experts warn that Iran's growing oil windfall could provide Tehran with resources to rapidly rebuild its ballistic missile network. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President JD Vance claimed that negotiations with Iran have achieved what he described as momentous progress.
Hello, everybody, and good morning to everybody back in the United States. I guess good afternoon to the folks assembled. So look, yesterday was a very, very good day. We made a lot of good progress. We did exactly what we wanted to do, which is accomplish 4 things for the American people. First, we wanted to build a mechanism for keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. It is open. We've seen, of course, gas prices and oil prices come down, millions and millions of barrels of crude and natural gas flowing through the Strait of Hormuz that weren't flowing before. But we also wanted to make sure that we actually set up the coordination mechanism so that we could demine the Straits of Hormuz, so that when there are the conflicts that inevitably come up, we can make sure we work through them rather than that leading to escalation, and that is exactly what we did yesterday. Number 2, we also wanted to build a mechanism, a similar mechanism, for deconfliction for the regional ceasefire. As the President of the United States has himself said, sometimes these ceasefires just mean you're shooting a little bit less, but we wanted to make sure that we had the proper coordination set up so that if there is shooting, if Hezbollah fires at Israel or if Israel responds, if there are other conflicts that arise in the region, we're actually talking to each other and figuring out how to stop the shooting, how to make the region safer, our allies and everybody else. We set that up as well. Number 3, and this is probably what we're most excited about as Americans, the Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently denuclearizing or permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. That's exactly what we asked to happen. We made a lot of great progress on other nuclear talks. And that leads me to the final thing that we wanted to accomplish, which is actually set up the process for the technical negotiations that will follow. Our teams working with the Iranians, the Qataris, and the Pakistanis made great progress yesterday. They will continue to work at the technical level with the teams here in Bergenstock, and then those technical negotiations are going to continue over the weeks and days to come. We laid a very good foundation for a successful final deal. The final deal is the house. We set the foundation. We haven't built the house, but we've laid a successful foundation to get to a good place for the American people. I think it's important for all of us to appreciate how much was done, but honestly, there is still a lot to do as we continue to make progress on the nuclear talks, on the economic talks, as we continue to demine the straits and ensure that that flow of traffic continues to pick back up. A lot of progress, but still some work to do, and we're very committed to doing exactly that.